at a time when we are inundated with weight loss ads and diet plans. Our next guest says we should be making peace with our food and trusting our bodies. We have Katy Harvey, who is a non-diet dietitian and intuitive eating coach, joining us this morning. Katy, thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk about what is a non-diet dietitian.
Absolutely. So what that means is that I recognize that dieting doesn't work. So I take a stand against diet culture. And instead, I teach people other ways to approach nutrition and health that are actually effective and sustainable.
Okay, so why do diets not work?
Basically because they fight against our biology and our psychology. So when we're dieting, it makes your body actually think that there's a threat of starvation happening, and it makes you want to eat food more, and so it leads to overeating. So most diets will produce some degree of temporary weight loss for people, but then what the research shows us is that within 2 to 5 years, 95% of people will regain the weight that they lost, and 2/3 of those people will regain more weight than they lost. So dieting ends up becoming the #1 predictor of weight gain and not weight loss.
So what's the alternative then?
The alternative that I teach is called intuitive eating. And basically what it means is that we're tuning back into the signals of our body, the signals that we were born with. So before we eat, we would check in with our body to say, am I actually hungry right now? And if I am, what am I hungry for? What's going to make me feel good? What does my body need? So we're slowing down, we're checking in, and then while you're eating, you're listening to your body to tell you when you've had enough.
Now, you talked earlier about making peace with food. What does that mean?
So many of us have a relationship with food that feels like a tug of war inside our mind. We've got these ideas about which foods are healthy, which foods are unhealthy, what foods we should be eating, which ones we should be avoiding. And ironically, it's the foods that we tell ourselves we shouldn't be having that we want more and more. And so then when we give in and let ourselves eat it, we feel guilty. We feel like we've done something wrong, and then we feel like we need to punish ourselves. And on the flip side, we feel like we're being good and somehow we're being virtuous when we eat the foods that we think of as healthy. And so we end up having this relationship with food that's all stuck up in our head and these stories that we're telling ourselves. So when we have peace with food, we let go of all those judgments and we learn how to be able to listen to what foods actually taste good to us and make our bodies feel good and allow our bodies to function well. And because of that, we're not obsessing about food 24/7, and we're not thinking about the thing that we're going to eat 2 weeks from now or the food we ate earlier that we need to burn off at the gym.
So we're often inundated with quick fixes for everything. You do this and you'll get the result that you need. This sounds like this is a process that you just have to put your mind to and really think about as you go through it.
Yeah, it takes time. And that's one of the things that can be really hard about this process, because we're not going to undo decades of existing in diet culture and what that's done to us overnight. It's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of repeatedly coming back to trying to think differently and approach it differently and to check in with your body. And intuitive eating does not promise any type of quick fix for weight loss or anything like that, the way that dieting does. And I always remind people that dieting might look like it works at first, but it will most likely backfire in the long run.
Important to be kind to yourself. Katy, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Sure thing.